Good morning. Good morning. Pam Drzwicki here, bringing to you the Friday morning or the Friday planning series. And every single Friday, I come to you with some tips, some ideas, some inspirations to help you connect with your life and be more productive in the things that you want to do. So this morning, we're going to talk about being present, a topic that I find sometimes is very difficult for me. I have to admit, it's very difficult, especially if you're in a busy schedule and you're running from one thing to the next. And when I'm in that period or that season, it's hard for me to give that space that I need, right, to be present in the moment because I'm thinking about the next thing ahead of me. And I'm sure you feel like that sometimes too. So this morning, we're going to be talking about that, being present, okay? And before we get started, I wanted to share, as I always do, my mug. And this morning, my mug is just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly. And I use a butterfly as my logo because it's all about the transformation, right? And all the different phases and stages we go through our lives. And the butterfly really helps me understand that at that particular moment, I'm in a season and the next step will be even better, but helping me stay focused in being present. Hi, Joan. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. So what cup are you using? I'd love to know if you have a special mug that you use in the morning. I collect mugs, as I've said before, so I have all different ones, and I like coming to you on Fridays with different ones just to show you where my thought process is with my collection, okay? So, but this morning, I am really excited to talk about this topic because while I was researching the topic, I learned a lot myself because, like I said earlier, I have a very difficult time with staying present sometimes because I do try to get a lot of things done, so I'm not in the moment. So I want you to think about, what does being present really mean, right? What does that mean to you? So being present to me means that I'm here and now. I'm here right now. I'm not checking my phone. I'm not talking to somebody else. I'm not doing other things. I'm here right now. Now, we have to give ourselves permission that our brain will go in different directions because it's just a muscle, and I'll talk about that. But to be here, to be now, to enjoy the moment. We hear this a lot. One of the reasons why I think we hear it a lot is because we are distracted so much. We're distracted so much by so many things. Everything is in fast motion, right? Now, back in the day, you'd get in your car and you'd have AM radio or FM radio, and then you had a cassette player. Now it hooks up, it's a smart car, it's giving you directions, everything is constantly talking to us all the time. So we're not being present in the moment, even when we're driving, right? So that is something that really needs to be worked on, So some signs that I was thinking about when I'm not being present, and you give me a thumbs up if you're on the recording, just say you're on the recording and that you feel the same way about this. You forget how you got someplace, right? All of a sudden you wake up, or all of a sudden you go from here to there. When I used to drive to the office every day, I did it so much that I think I forgot parts of my travel, okay? Like all of a sudden I'd be at exit 17, and then the next thing I remember I was at 23, and it's like, what happened to that space, right? We get in a rote motion, excuse me. So you forget how you got there. You leave things. Oh my gosh, this is my big thing. Now, I just want you, I'm being very authentic about sharing where I am in this space also. This topic is very dear to my heart. You forget things on your online shopping cart. Okay. How many times have I gone on and did some online shopping, and then I was waiting for the package to come, and the package never came, and I was frustrated because it was taking so long to get to me. Well, I go back into the ad account and they were still sitting in the shopping cart because I wasn't being present while I was doing that. Okay. I was taking care of it, but then I was jumping onto something else. Sign of not being present. Another sign of not being present, your brain doesn't shut down at night. You're constantly thinking about the things that you have to do tomorrow or in the future. This is when that brain dumping activity that I share and then I have my clients do really comes in handy because it helps you unload. So at least if your brain keeps thinking about it, you could tell your brain, hey, I've already written that down and I'll take care of it later. You can't remember, oh my goodness, you can't remember, these make me giggle. You can't remember what you ate for breakfast or the dinner before, because you were just eating in the moment and not enjoying the experience, okay? That was another sign of not being present. Another sign that I was thinking about was you can't remember somebody's name. When that happened to me last night, right, June? You couldn't remember what you ate. It's so crazy. Or if you, now, or when was the last time you had a snack or anything along those lines, right? Get it. The other thing is that, and this is hard and this takes practice, is learning people's names. You get introduced to somebody and you immediately can't remember their name. We need to train our brain to be present in that moment. There's tricks and tips that I could share at another time of how to remember people's names when you're being introduced. Another one is you're hooked to the phone all the time. So how can you be present in the moment if you're sitting down watching TV, but you're on your phone? Guilty. If you're guilty, give me a thumbs up. These are really a lot of everyday tasks that have creeped into our lives that you might not even notice the change, right? So these are signs of not being present. Okay, so now we've gone through the signs of not being present, and if you have anything that you feel that you do that shows that you're not being present, go ahead and share that along with me. I am just, okay, so the next thing is, how do we take these things, right, that keep us distracted and help us be in the here and now? Now, the first one is really to be aware of our surroundings, be aware of, you hear mindfulness a lot, right? It's really giving yourself permission to be here right now doing one thing. If my daughter comes home from school, I try to make a point to step down away from my desk, because I have a stand-up desk, step down away from my desk and actually have a conversation with her. If I'm still on my desk and I just turn to her, I'm still in the moment of the stuff that I'm working on. So those little mindfulness switches really make a difference. And not only does it help the person that you're having a conversation with, but it helps you feel more connected and get disconnected from what's going on. Now, if that's not a good time to disconnect, it's okay to say to that person, I'll be with you in a moment, I just need to finish this up, okay? So that allows you the permission to finish what you're doing and you're having the conversation with them, that you just need that moment, and then I'll be over there to say hi, give you a hug, hear all about your day, okay? Because if I step away while I'm still in the middle of a thought process, I am not going to be present with her, because I'm going to be worried that I'm going to forget where I left off. You could use that too, Like if you're working on projects, clients calling, let it go to voicemail. Emails, I return, have a message that I return emails in a certain period of time so people aren't waiting on you. So if you're more aware and concise with your messaging, it helps you be more present, and in turn, it's going to give you more quality time with the other people in your life, your work, or whatever. The second one is productivity versus peace. Okay, I touched on this a little bit last week on the Facebook Live, where the difference between being productive and being crazy busy, productively busy and crazy busy, right? Crazy busy, again, is not connecting in the present. You're just running around from one thing to the next. This is the time of year that a lot of times we all fall into the trap of being crazy busy. And this is the time of year that we need to connect the most with being present. So whatever we could do ahead of time to get to that point is really, really a good thing to think about and plan for. So when you're productive and busyness at the same time, you could be productively busy while being at peace because you're enjoying what you're going through. Now, this is something that I've talked about before, and I talked a little while ago about this, was the power of your brain, right? The power of how strong your brain actually is, the capacity that your brain has is unbelievable. So yesterday I had the opportunity and the privilege to go speak to a high school in Hartford, to high school students that are in an entrepreneurial class. And their teacher asked me to come in and be a guest speaker to help share with them how I became an entrepreneur, the pitfalls, the successes, some hacks, some tips around mindset. And when you become an entrepreneur, it's so important to stay in a right frame of mind with your mindset so we don't get on this roller coaster, okay, of thoughts, of imposter syndromes and all of that. When we come into that place and we start helping our brain understand that we need to be present here, it's just like a muscle working out. It takes time. It really, really takes time. And understanding that we are never devoided of thought. No one's ever devoided of thought. Even monks have thoughts. They just speak slower because they're in the moment of thinking about what they want to say, okay? So giving yourself permission that it's okay. A lot of people like, I can't meditate because my brain goes off someplace else. That's okay. It takes time. So tips of being present is practice with your brain, because your brain has those two functions, right? To listen to what you tell it and to take action on it. So if you're telling your brain that you're really busy all the time, your brain's going to be busy all the time. So taking a deep breath and taking a step back on that. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So those are a few tips. Those are a few tips on how to become present, okay? Now, the interesting thing is that I'm a productivity coach, okay? So I help professional women, female entrepreneurs, and business owners really take everything that they want to happen and plan for it, okay? And get it done, and then hold them accountable for it. That's what I do. So it's interesting when I talk about being present, because when we're planning, what are we doing? We're planning for the future. So it for a while there, it felt a little awkward to me, because I'm like, okay, we have to be mindful, we got to be present, and we got to own the season that we're in. But oh, by the way, we need to plan for the future. So how do you shift between that is something that I want to share with you, because I think it's really, really important with the shifts, okay? So being fully present doesn't mean that you're not setting goals, okay? It goes back to number one, being aware, being aware. So remember that. So set goals. Number one about being present while you're planning, all right, is to set your goals. But don't stress over the outcome of the goal, all right? Control what you can control. Be present in that moment as you're going through those goals, okay? Not stressing about what's not happening. Just be present. So while you're planning, you're going to set your goal and you're going to think about it. This is what I want to happen. And we're going to reverse engineer into that big goal and make little steps. But as we're going through the journey, we're going to be present. Okay? That's number one. Number two is planning for the future. Okay, we're planning for the future. So does that mean we're not being present? No, we're planning for the future, but the difference is that when we're planning for the future, we're not worrying about it. When we're worrying about it, that means we're in the future because we're worried about what that outcome is going to be. We're not planning for it, we're worrying about it. So there's a difference, okay? So planning for the future keeps you in the present moment to plan. Worrying about the future puts you in the future because you have no control of that outcome of out there, but you do have control of the outcome of how you're going to get there. Does that sound right? Because it's so amazing is that when we worry about things, it paralyzes us. So we have to take a deep breath and say, okay, we're going to plan for this. I'm going to do everything that I need to do to get to the future, but I'm going to stay present in my planning moment. Okay? Hi, Denise. Good morning. Good morning. So right now, what we're talking about is the difference between the present while we're planning. And how I said, like being a productivity coach, I'm always helping people plan for the future. And if we're planning for the future, are we really being present? And I wanted to give some tips around, yes, that is the case. So tip one was set your goals, right? Set your goals, but don't stress about the outcome. Just set them, right? Which goes back to number two is be productive. Be productive in setting your goals now. Be in the present moment while you're setting those goals. Number two was plan for the future. The difference between planning now for the future is that we're staying present in our planning. If we start worrying about the future, then we're not being present, okay? Because we can't change that yet. All we could do is be present and plan for it. Number three is balance your planning with action, which aligns with number three on the tips of how to be present, was helping control your brain, and that your brain has those two functions, okay? So number three in present while you're planning is balance planning with action. Sometimes people get so paralyzed by planning that they don't take action because they're always planning. And it's easier for them to plan for something than to actually do that thing. So we have to remove or try to remove yourself from that. I know that what happens with me is I'm a creator, so I like to create things all the time. And sometimes I need to be present and take a step back at what I've already created and use that. Do you feel that sometimes? Do you feel that sometimes you get so caught up in the planning that you get paralyzed? to how to move forward. Good morning, Lisa. Thanks for joining me. So that goes back to helping and training our brain to stay focused on what we need to stay focused on now. So those are the few areas that we went over this morning. And just remember that if you want to plan for the new year, right? And I'm going to recap everything really quickly. But if you want to plan for the new year, I encourage you to do that, but be really mindful in the moment. Give yourself the space to be present in your planning, because it's really important to dedicate that time to you, to your business, to your career, of how you want next year to unfold, okay? So going back really quickly is I was giving some examples of how do you know that you're not being present. You forget how you got from here to there, right? You forgot what you ate for dinner last night. Do you ever feel that? Your brain doesn't shut down at night. You're hooked to your phone no matter what. Those are just a few signs that you're not being present and you're not giving yourself that ability to stay in that particular moment. And have you ever noticed that there's so many things around us that talk about mindfulness and being present? It's because our world is filled with distractions. So I need you to choose what is the time that you're going to sit and do that brain dump and be present with your planning going forward. Okay? I just always love to come to you and on Fridays to share these tips with you. And I'd love to hear how you're doing around being present. I'm going to stay on for a little bit. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But remember, while you're trying to be present, be aware of what you're doing at that particular moment. Take a step back. Be productive, but be peaceful with how you're being productive. Leaving some of that white space on your calendar is truly going to help you be present on the tasks that you're handling. And I know that this time of year, it's very, very difficult to try to be present in the moment. And this is when we need to be present the most, right? We truly need to be present the most. So what can we do ahead of time to help us be present now? And know that your brain really has those functions to listen to what you tell it and to take action on it. So if we're kind to our brain and we're constantly telling our brain that we want to slow down, then we're going to start thinking, you know what? You're going to look at your calendar during your planning session. You have to do your planning once a week. So either on a Friday afternoon or Saturday or Sunday morning, whatever works for you, during that time before you start your planning session, tell your brain what you want for the week ahead. And that comes with the power word that you set. That sets the tone for the week ahead. So if your power word is I want to be present, then you're going to tell your brain before you start planning, I want to be present this week. So while you're planning out your week, you have that in mind, okay? Really, really important to get those planning sessions in. And don't worry, when you're actually planning, you could be present now, even though you're planning for the future. And you're setting your goals. You're not worrying about it, because if we worry about it, it puts us in the future. We're setting our goals and our action. We're being in action and not reacting, okay? Because reacting takes us out of that present moment. We want to be in action, okay? So until that's it, I really encourage you to enjoy the week ahead. See if you could find a time that you are going to be present. Let me know what that is. I want to hear about it. I want to hear about the experience, okay? So it's my pleasure to be here. It's an honor that you joined me today. And until next week, when I'll come back on Friday, actually next Friday is going to be Friday afternoon at noon. I'll announce the tip. But in the meantime, if you want to get started on those goals, right, and get started on being present, go out to my website or go follow this link. I'm going to put it in the chat box here for you. You could go out there and get my ebook on how to plan 6 steps to plan your goal, and download that. That'll give you all of the activity that you need to be present while you're planning the first 30 days of 2020. All right? Until then, God bless. Thank you again. Have an amazing Dynamite weekend. Take care.